Hello, folks. Today, we're going to say farewell to a beer that didn't stay around too long. Before that, though, and I got William Kepley from North Carolina joining me. I'm Louisiana Beer Reviews, Ronald, or Jay, as some people call me. I just drank this Nitro Red Ale from Squatters, Utah Brewers Cooperative, and what a dynamite product. I have a little bit left. It achieved a very creamy, nitrous head. You can see that thick lacing. It's rust red or brick red. It's so fruity from the Comet hops. Dynamite product. I thought, oh, well, 4% alcohol, it's not going to have much going for it. There's no video reviews. And in fact, there's only 2 written reviews that I can find on Rate Beer. It's not even marked on the Beer Advocate page. But I was just like luxuriating about it, you know.
Is there much about that beer on their website?
A little bit, but very little. It's something new. They say it's the first Nitro Red Ale. That may not be true, or I may have misinterpreted what I was reading, because there was a Guinness Nitro Harvest Red Ale about 2 years ago. Almost no one found it. I just happened across it and was stunned by what I was seeing, and I reviewed it, and there really wasn't much else out there about it. And it was a dynamite product. I bought a 4-pack. Saw it that one time, never saw it again. Okay, but anyway, if you or any of the viewers ever see that, I would highly recommend it. Now on to this Busch Signature Copper Lager, introduced in 2014, and it will be. They plan to discontinue it in 2017, but we're imploring you, or I am, Anheuser-Busch InBev, don't do it, don't do it. But one person can't keep a brand going, of course. Now, William, you talk to the audience. We have a few viewers. Let's see how many. 4. You talk to the audience about your experience with this beer. I'm trying to figure out how to do the chat. One of the other guys that does Beer Hangouts was telling me if you have a computer that can do tabs, it's easy to do. I do have a computer that can very easily handle tabs, but I'm not sure how to get this viewer chat going. I have a group chat on the side of my screen, and that could be what it's referring to. People could maybe try to write some comments there, and I'll see if they show up. I'm a little confused, but and I apologize for that. And I want people to know that I'm not ignoring anybody. I'm just probably not handling it correctly, apparently. Okay, because it's saying you joined the group chat. Okay, anyway. You can talk for a minute about it, and then we'll roll into it.
Okay. I first drank this in the. I bought a few single cans in the summertime. You know, I was drinking a lot of the American adjunct lagers, and this one fit into that category. But the fact that it was a little bit different with the toasted caramel malts, and I wanted to try it, and I liked it. I really did. And a couple weeks ago, I grabbed a 12-pack at Walmart here locally for $7.47, and including tax out the door, less than $8. So we're talking to like 65 cents per bottle. Incredible. I think it's a great bargain.
I had to pay $9.99 for my 12-pack at a racetrack, but still, that's not a bad deal.
And one thing I found. The first couple I drank during the summer, I probably left them in the freezer a little bit too long, and it sort of muted some of the flavor. But I noticed as I drank it, it was developing more of a malty, little bit of a delicate sweetness from the caramel. And then when I purchased this 12-pack here, you know, the weather is moderated quite a bit here. Yeah. It's been more, I've drank it more chilled / cold. And it's really almost like a different beer, and I've really enjoyed them. And I really hate to see it leaving the market. To me, it would be in my top 5 bang for the buck budget beers. I like it.
I have to totally agree with you. And when I first heard about it in 2014. Actually, I heard about it, I think, in 2013. But when it first came out, I wrote to Anheuser-Busch InBev and I said, well, I would like to get that in Louisiana. Where can I find it? They said, we're not planning to sell it in your state, only in like Missouri, Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, those areas.
The Heart Belt.
Yeah. And they said, I think they said Arkansas.
Heartland.
Heartland, yeah. I said, well, that's a shame. So then I mentioned it to the local distributor salesman. I said, it's a shame you're not selling it here. He said, we're having a brand, whatever he called it, a brand meeting or something. He said, I'll mention it to him. I said, okay, thank you. He said, I brought it up and everybody was saying, well, I never heard of that. You know, they didn't seem to know what he was talking about. But then all of a sudden, about 3 or 4 weeks after that meeting, it started showing up here. So I said, well, maybe, I mean, it seems far-fetched. But I said, maybe me sending the email and him talking about it at that brand meeting, maybe they decided to try to sell it in Louisiana. Because, I mean, it just, all of a sudden, here it is in Louisiana and in Texas. I don't know if a consumer could have that much impact, but it is kind of strange the way it worked out.
It's spotty here, but with their beer finder, I didn't have any trouble finding it. But it's not widespread. Conversely, in my area, Busch Ice is everywhere. It's sold wherever beer is sold, and it's cheap. I've seen a 12-pack at Walmart for $5.64 for Busch Ice, and they have all three of their value ice beers for sale here. But yet they can't find a way to keep this beer in, keep it going. Like, for example, Yuengling is the 12th best-selling domestic beer in the United States. Number 12, which I would consider maybe a direct competitor to this beer as far as the style, maybe and yet Anheuser-Busch can't keep this beer going. I don't understand it.
It's really weird. They did nothing to promote it, first of all. And I mean nothing. They put it on the shelf and basically said, if it sells, fine. If it doesn't, we'll kill it. We don't care.
But
you want to start drinking it and then we'll talk about it? Okay.
But yet, even if you include the imports, Yuengling would still be a top 20 beer in the United States.
It's hard to believe.
And yet this beer is going poof, gone.
Gone. When I first drank it, I was very impressed, and I did a video, and it was common here for a while. Bottles, cans, big, tall, single cans. And then I noticed that it didn't seem to be doing too well. Like, no one was talking about it. I never saw anyone drinking the stuff, and to me, that was not a good sign.
The born-on date for mine is October the 25th, so it's pretty recent. And it was brewed in St. Louis.
Yeah, mine is October 11th, not too far before yours. And mine says SH18. That would be...
S would be St. Louis. That's
Okay.
The rest of it is that internal data. It's just the time and the production line and stuff like that. And there's also a bunch of stuff on the 12-ounce container I got, but the relevant stuff is the date and the brewery for me.
Yeah, it's a bone-colored head, thick, rust red, amber appearance, copper. Well, okay, copper appearance. Okay, so I have Google open, and I've got. Let me try this. I'm going to click on something here, and I'm going.
Nice eggshell head. And this beer is slightly darker than the Bud Black Crown. I recently drank side by side. It's just a tad darker, but very similar. And it's a nice appearance for the beer.
Yes. I think it looks really nice. Now, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm running something while I'm running this, and I'm thinking it's going to screw it up. But I'm trying. We're doing this as a hangout, and I'm trying to online experiment.
That's fine.
Well, one thing I see, I I need to straighten up what I wrote because I put it too far away from the quotation marks. Let's see here. Here we go. Here we go. Now I see what, thank you, Lee Russell. I'll see what Lee meant about the tabs. Eric, a Lions fan. I'm going to read some of the comments. Eric, a Lions fan, said, "This is a damn shame." And Matthew Stanifort says, "Hey, Jay." Eric, a Lions fan, says, "What up, Matt?" Reet Geeb says, "Hello, Ronald. I have only had this beer once. Cheers." Matthew, just home from work in the United Kingdom, so I thought I'd crack open a beer. I love Jay's reviews. We often get a history lesson as well as a beer review. Eric, laugh out loud. Yes, we do. I'm not going to keep reading everything, but Matthew says, when he opens a 12% beer at 5:45 a.m., that's either a hobby or a problem. I'll add that comment. This beer is everywhere in Indiana, Reet Geeb said. Matthew, what is that man's accent? What state? Oh, you mean North Carolina, folks? Okay. Reet is here in Michigan, too, all over the place. Carolinas, Matt. I hope it stays around. Good beer, Jean says, Jean-Pierre. Randy Dillon says, wish I could have gotten to try it. Let me say this, Randy. You may get to try it because it's still lingering on until about 5 more months. They probably have a bunch of ingredients they want to use up, more than likely, because they got a whole line of them they're going to knock out.
Yeah, this is just one of the casualties among a whole group.
Yeah, they had a bunch of underperforming beers, and they said, well, you know what? They're dead.
I'm doing a lame duck Final Four with this beer, Bud Black Crown, the Busch, the Beck Sapphire, and the Beck Black. And then I'll move them on to the finals, and we'll have a lame duck champion pretty soon. Yeah, because Beck Sapphire is gone. We're talking about as of the spring of 2017. Beck Sapphire, Black Crown, this particular one, and Occulto. And one of the Shock Top brand, one of their wheat beers. Okay. The marketing, you can't say the marketing for this particular beer was bad because it was non-existent. So we can't say they had bad marketing. They had no marketing. Unless you want to call a website that describes it marketing. I don't know how many consumers are going to just do that. I would say practically none. Beck Sapphire had some marketing for about a week on television, some commercials. That was into that. Black Crown had a big push for about, to me, it looked like at the most a month, probably not that long, right during the Super Bowl. It went nowhere, and so they turned their back on it very quickly. Bud Light Platinum had extensive marketing for about a year. It began to lose momentum, and now they've pretty much abandoned that one. That could be next on the hit list, although I think the sales for that are good enough to where it may stay on, be like Archie Bunker's Place. The ratings were good enough that they could stay on the air, and it ended when Carol O'Connor got tired of doing the show. But even when it was in its bad days of ratings, that show was still a top mover. It could get advertising movement. I think the Bud Light Platinum is number 17 among the top 20 domestic beers, so it's still a respectable number for that beer. I think it's just behind the Natty Ice, I believe, on the list. And Natural Ice has been an incredible beer, considering it has never gotten any attention advertisement-wise, but it sells itself. It's the number 1 ice beer in the country, ahead of Bud Ice or the Busch Ice. So yeah, it's everywhere here in my area. Also, all 3 of their ice beers are featured prominently at all the stores. So apparently they're not cannibalizing each other in sales. But yet this beer, the Signature, can't hang around. To me, it's sort of I don't know, a non sequitur or something. But I don't make those decisions. Eric, Alliance fan, why do you think they're discontinuing this beer, Ron? Curious as to what you think.
And then he said, I think we all know why, no advertisement. It's not being discontinued for any other reason than poor sales performance. Todd Ellerbrook says, hello, Jay, watching now. I have had this only one time. Maybe try it before I can't find it. Yeah, that would be a very good idea to try it almost immediately. This, when it first came out at Walmart over here, it was $7.69 a 12-pack. But then it disappeared out of Walmart and every other store except for Racetrack, where it suddenly reappeared in October or November. Well, let's go into the taste a little bit. I've done video reviews. I said it was the best new product that the company had introduced in 20 years.
It's got some impressive lacing.
Yeah.
It's really, it's full coverage for the lacing on this.
The aroma is not particularly strong, but it's not offensive in any way.
And as it warms, the aroma gets a little bit more distinctive. You can begin to pick up a little of that caramel, the tone of it. And it's, you know, the head didn't stick around very long, but the taste is, it's very smooth and balanced. At 5.7, this one could really sneak up on you.
The drinkability is,
it's super high.
Profoundly good. And that's,
excuse me.
No,
at some point that 5.7 is going to tap you on the shoulder and say, you've had a little bit too much. You know, it could happen.
Yeah, it's the kind of item that you could just be watching football and drinking them, and you'd never feel a thing until you got up. Then you'd say, oh boy, don't get in that vehicle.
That's right.
Definitely don't get on that bike.
Oh, definitely. That would be a disaster.
It says it does appear to have a brushed copper type color. It is definitely copper, and it's not food coloring. This is not a fake thing. They roast the malts to give it that copper appearance, okay? And I'll read the ingredients off of Tap Into Your Beer, which is Anheuser-Busch InBev's brand website. They cover pretty much all their brands. Water, barley malt, corn, rice, and or dextrose syrup. So they're either using rice or dextrose syrup, which is just a filler. They got it configured in a way that's not going to present any kind of aroma anyway. Malt extract, hops, hop extract, and yeast. It's a standard thing, like every other regular American beer made since 1842. But what they do with those common ingredients, to me, is uncommonly interesting.
It does have a cola aspect to it, that caramel, which they use in soft drinks. I can pick up a certain amount of that also, especially as it warms a little bit.
Yeah, caramel malts are roasted to be like caramel.
It's an interesting take on a standard. I mean, it's still a Busch beer. It's pretty watery. It's light, but it's still, to me, it's a cut above. And in here, it's the same price. At the Walmart, I got this for $7.47. The standard Busch at 4.3% ABV, same price. I'll take this 10 times out of 10 over that.
I would too. And I think here's another problem about this beer. People are asking, why are they going to kill it? It makes no sense. Well, it's a beautiful thing to drink. My daughter would not like it. She's very sensitive in her palate. She would say right off the bat, oh, this is corn this is corn chip. Because she, I just posted a video less than an hour ago, less than 30 minutes ago. We did a Negra Modelo group review. And her friend liked it. He said it was okay, but his favorite beer is Schlitz, so he's not super picky. She said she gave it a B. Then she took a last sip and dropped it to a B minus. So she was saying it was marginally good, but she said she'd never dream of buying it. But she drank it at a party, but she wouldn't really enjoy it. And that's the Negro Modelo. And I said, oh, this beer, I just brag on it all the time. But it's funny how people have different impressions of things.
Oh, certainly, it's very subjective, but each person, you know, they can be valid in their points. It's just a different take on it. I don't find it overly corn driven myself. To me, it's not. It doesn't offend me.
Now, she's never had the Busch Signature Copper Lager, but just with the name Busch on it,
Yeah.
she's going to automatically, it's like a vampire with a crucifix. She's going to be repelled by it just from the name. And I think, and that's what I'm leading into, I think this beer had a problem because craft beer people, and I'm a craft beer person, but you know what I mean when I say craft beer people. When they see that word Busch, they're not going to even give it a shot. And in fact, a lot of these people, and I don't mean all of them by any means, but a lot of the people, and you know what I'm talking about, they are going to write a review, so-called, but it's going to be based on that name, B-U-S-C-H. Now, here's the other problem. So it's not going to get attention from your typical craft beer drinker. On the other hand, the Busch Light drinker is not going to give it a chance either. Because think about your regular Busch and Busch Light drinker. These people will tell me, I don't like dark beer, it's too strong. And I tell them, I say, you've never had this because it's anything but strong, but they will not give it a chance.
It's in a beer's no man's land, basically, just withering away.
Yeah.
But many brands don't find a niche or find a market. It just happens. It doesn't necessarily mean they're not good, but they just never find a market.
And this is not just with beer.
Oh, it goes across the board. Some of the greatest products, people would never know what they were.
No, this goes with food products and other drinks, not just alcohol, but even non-alcoholic drinks. If they don't find a niche, no matter how good they are, they die. Now let's see some comments. Would this be too heavy for hot summer days? No. Eric says, I don't think so. I don't think so either. Raining on Your Parade says, sucks. Never got to try it. Do you know if it is or was available in New Hampshire or Massachusetts? I live in Maine. There could be a locator tool for that question.
There is. It still works. If you go on there and type in your zip code, it'll tell you where it's at.
Yeah. I did that yesterday for a beer brand, and no, I'll take that back. I did it for a liquor brand, and it gave me the exact store. Certainly did. And I believe it was Old Crow. That's what it was. True story.
Old Crow.
It said, okay, you want to look for it? Here you go. It might have been, I want to take that back. It might have been one of the other Beam brands, but it was very detailed. And in fact, you could choose any brand on that company's website, and you type in the specific variant of the brand and give your zip code, it'll list every store. So I was amazed by that.
That's pretty specific to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was not just some general thing. It was like detailed, and it listed all the stores like here, each little store. And I said, whoa. Anyway, and it was another brand too I was looking at, and couldn't get over that. Anyway, picking up a little bit syrupy bread crust, honestly.
And it sort of has, as it warms up, a sort of a sweet finish too. A little, but not the cloying sweetness. A little bit of sweetness at the very end. But this is super smooth. It really is for 5.7% alcohol. I mean, it's. I thought they hit a sweet spot with it. It's some of your AALs run around 4.8 to 5%. Then you start get up into the 6+, which some people don't like certain characteristics that those beers take on. But this one I thought found a nice sweet spot for it.
I think you'll find that most of them, they do just fine up to 5.9, but that up to 6.0 seems to be a tipping point.
It does.
Once you get up to 6.0, it starts to take on some negative characteristics. And we're talking about American adjunct lagers. They'll start to present cloying sweetness.
And they're much more volatile to the optimum drinking temperature.
Oh, yeah.
The colder the better. I think the higher you go in the ABV, the colder the better. The scale. Where this one is, I mean, you could drink it on a hot summer day, ice cold. It would be refreshing, and then you can drink it on a winter day at a chilled, cool temperature and get some additional flavor from it. So to me, it's sort of a win-win situation.
Yes, and I'm starting to detect some nut shells, kind of like a pecan shell, like if you get a little pecan shell, but not the bitter thing from it, but a little sweetness and a little nut shell. It's got a lot more, even maybe grape skins, but it's got a lot more complexity than your typical grocery store common beer, especially Busch beer.
And it's 65 cents a bottle.
Or in my case, 83 cents.
I mean, even at 83 cents, that's not bad at all.
No, I'm looking at a few other. I have a major beer can collection. I'm looking at a few cans. The only ones I can think of that are as complex as this. Oh boy. Hold on, it's one of my hold on a second. Hello. Hey, Joshua, Sharif. I'm on a live hangout right now, so I'm not gonna be able to take the call, but we're doing Busch Signature Copper Lager, believe it or not. Can't get it in New York City, huh? Wow. Right. Well, I'm gonna call you back, but I gotta get back to this hangout. Okay, bye. Somebody that actually has done hangouts with me just called me. Anyway, I'll call him back. That was Sharif or Joshua. I'm looking at Ballantine Triple Export Ale. That has a lot of complex character. That is a big seller in the Bronx, at least. You can go to other parts of New York City and you'll never see it. You go to the Bronx, you'll see every bottle size and every can size you ever heard of. Heilemann Special Export, that Dortmunder style lager, has a lot of complex character, but you may never see that anywhere. I know you haven't seen it.
One beer that really surprised me that I drank, I liked quite a bit, was the Dundee Honey Brown.
Oh yeah, yep. From
99 cents a can for 24 ounces when I was on my Ohio trip. So, I really enjoyed it. I wish I had got a bunch of those.
We used to
get around here in the bottle, it's almost priced like a premium beer. But for some reason, in the cans, it's cheap.
We used to get that, but it stopped selling, and they don't sell it down here anymore. We got it in the 12-ounce cans. Let's see a few more comments. Shasham says it's a no man's land because I guess the market is already defined by macro only drinkers / craft people that won't touch it / straight up only Busch Light drinkers, etc. Right. That's exactly what we're saying.
That's a good summation.
And Jeeping Foodie says, I think they branded it wrong. Budweiser box seems more fitting. Better chance of getting out of no man's land. Perhaps. Perhaps. They used to make a Pabst Bock. You see it anymore? Nope. They used to make a Pabst Dark Lager, but we don't see it. But you might be right, Jeeping Foodie. Eric, Alliance fan, says, or hell, just changing it to Budweiser, then Busch would probably get more exposure. It might, but would it sell? That's the problem. They got Busch Black Crown, which is a very good 6%, but it won't survive. It's the right ABV to fit the Bock category. I agree with that. The 6-pack pint cans is cheaper than 6-pack bottles in Sedalia, Missouri. Yes, that's true everywhere, I think. I see it in Walmart stores and their neighborhood markets. Some gas stations here in Arlington, Texas, Todd says. Yeah, but you won't see it much longer.
I saw it here in convenience stores. The 16-ounce cans were 99 cents. They had a little display, a little stand in front of the beer cooler for it. But And obviously I could see it wasn't selling very well because some of the dates were very old on those, the single cans.
Oh yeah, I was doing some shopping last week or a week before, and I was looking at, I saw it in various places, and every time I would see it, I'd tip the can up and look at the date or the bottle. It was all either outdated or short dated, which I know that means it's dead, it's over. You're not going to
I saw some that actually said 2015. So
you might go in a store around here and do the same exercise with Bud Light, and you might see that it was brewed 5 days ago, for instance, as a comparative thing.
Yeah, the Busch Ice around here, I've seen it where it was like literally off the truck, fresh. You know, you can see the date on it. And
one of the fastest growing beer brands in America is Bud Ice. It is an incredible brand in Louisiana, and I talked to some Anheuser-Busch people, well, their distributor actually. I said, why is that beer so hot? They said, we don't know. And then they had an article about the fastest growing beer brands last few days, and they said the Anheuser-Busch people couldn't even explain it. They said, we don't know why Bud Ice is so highly popular now and growing so fast, because we don't do anything to promote it. I'm adding that part of it, because they don't do anything to promote it, at least since 1996. They've got entire coolers full of Bud Ice in parts of New Orleans. It is a super hot item. It used to be 99 cents for an 18-ounce bottle. No longer. It's about $1.29 or higher now, and it's hot. It sells like mad. Bud Ice, which is a nice beer, but nothing up to the level of what we're drinking today, I don't think.
I prefer the Natty Ice over the Bud Ice. When I did three, I did all three of them together. When I do like a tasting, I just line the beers up and drink a little bit of each one. I'm not doing like a blindfold test. I'm just trying to determine myself, which one do I prefer? That's the only criteria that I use.
Just a simple showdown.
It is, and if the one I prefer happens to be cheaper, it's a no-brainer. I'm buying that. And if the one I prefer happens to be more expensive, then I have to weigh in the value factor. How much more is it worth? Like the Bud Black Crown at Walmart is $12.88 for a 12-pack. That's $12.88 versus $7.47 for this. That's quite a gap. I'm probably going to take this.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like there used to be a PBS show in the early 80s called Trade-Offs. Every high school student should have to watch that show, Trade-Offs, because they would talk about how everything in life is a trade-off. It was basically about conflicts, and you have to make a choice. A conflict is a situation in which you must make a choice. You cannot have both. And a lot of young people, I'm afraid, they think they can have both. They can go to college and succeed, but yet never study and party all the time. Sorry, that's a bad idea. You have to make a trade-off.
The old phrase is you can't have your cake and eat it too.
You cannot. If you eat the cake, it's gone. You can't still have it. But anyway, I think as far as the trade-off you're talking about, natural ice is one of the best bargains in the market. It's low calorie. It has flavor. Not extraordinary flavor by any means, but it has flavor. And it's so inexpensive. And it has a good alcohol punch, 5.9. It's right there in line where it needs to be.
And the Busch Ice, I think, I like it also. I preferred it over the Bud Ice, actually. And like I said, at the price point it is in this area, there's nothing really cheaper than that.
I agree with that, but we cannot get it, unfortunately.
For some reason, it must be popular because it's everywhere. Like the old saying, wherever beer is sold, it's there.
Yeah, it's big in the Carolinas, and it's big in parts of Texas and in Memphis, but not too many more places. Busch Ice is a niche product, if they ever had a niche product on this planet, whereas natural ice is a nationwide item. And of course, Bud Ice is a nationwide item. Well, too bad, Anheuser-Busch. You failed. You made a great beer and you botched it. But that's your problem. That's not my problem. It's only my problem in the sense that I would like to buy it in the future, but that will not be an option. I'll survive. I survived the demise of Budweiser Dry. Bud Dry was my favorite beer, but it died. And I'll survive this, obviously. That's my last comment. It's a good beer, and it's dead. Forget it. Farewell.
If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me?
Yeah. Or
like a free bird, this beer is flying away.
Right.
To other places.
Or like the Cars would say, bye, bye, love.
Bye, bye.
Bye, bye, love. Okay, now that's it for this episode, people. William, we've been talking about, it's strange, you talk about synchronicity, like the Police did that album talking about that psychological concept or almost a metaphysical concept of synchronicity where things have an odd coincidence, like the Wizard of Oz being in sync with Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. You were talking to me about Old Crow, Old Crow. And I said, what do I know about Old Crow? Well, nothing. Aside from the fact I've heard about it, other than that, I know nothing about it. But then on Monday, somebody gave me this bottle from 1977. It's never been opened. It still has the U.S. government excise tax ribbon glued on the cap. That is a pristine bottle. It was distilled in 1969 and it was bottled in 1977. Well, that was an incredible find, and it cost me exactly nothing because the guy gave me the bottle. And this is the original recipe, because when Jim Beam bought it in 1987, they closed down the distillery, which is an abandoned site in Kentucky today. You can go wander through it. You might fall and get hurt. And they just basically bought the brand name because apparently the whiskey in the bottle after 1987 was just a Jim Beam variant rebranded as Old Crow. They didn't use the Old Crow yeast strain or mash strain or any of that. But this has the original recipe. And then we know that guy, Dr. Crow, I believe he was, no, maybe not Dr. Crow, but what was it, Samuel Crow?
I think so.
He invented that sour mash distilling method, right?
The label is different too. I noticed the new label is different than that.
It's different.
But
well, it's an interesting story, but and it said bottled in bond, and bottled in bond is a legal term, which is explained on the U.S. government website if anybody wants to ever read about that. It's quite interesting what bottled in bond means. They even had different tax tags for that. Something cannot just be bottled in bond. There's a lot of requirements for that, which may not be important, but they were important in the late 1800s because there was a lot of problems with deceptive practices with medicine and liquor in the 1890s. For instance, selling poison as liquor. Or as medicine, you know about patent medicine and all that.
And there was a Skinner song, "Don't drink poison whiskey. It'll leave you dead."
Right.
That was on their first album, pronounced Leonard Skinnerd, Poison Whiskey.
Right. Well, anyway. All right, folks. Well, thanks for watching, and I'm going to see about the last comments. And William, I appreciate you joining me.
I'm glad to give this beer a proper farewell, if nothing else.
Right. So if you get a chance, find it. Let's see. Let's see the last comments. Oh boy, we're getting a ton of comments. I can get a 25 ounce for $1.09. That's a good price. Thanks. Just arrived in Arizona about 2 months ago. Stinks it will be discontinued. That's what Big B says. Todd Ellerbrook says, I'm going over to Kroger this afternoon to see if they have it. Maybe I'll pick it up. Budweiser Bock, great idea, Big B says. Todd, maybe they will rebrand it. Big B, never know, maybe. Good question, Eric says. I'm saying no, it ain't going to happen. That's Jay's Ronald's comment. Forget it. Shiner Bock or Busch Signature? Shiner Bock is good. I like it. It has a slow ABV 4.4. Oh, no, Busch Signature blows Shiner Bock out the water, I say. I agree, but such a low ABV. Bud Dry would be a good one to reintroduce. Haha. You won't be seeing that happening. By the way, Eric, I'm a Bears fan, but I'm cheering for your Lions. F the Packers. I guess that means forget the Packers. That's probably what F the Packers mean. Lions might F it up. He probably means they might foul it up. Would not be surprised. Love your vintage liquor, Jay. So awesome. You right about that. That's about one of the most awesome things I've ever run across in my life. Typical Lions, SOLLOL. I guess that means so out of luck. Let's hope not, Eric. And he says, ha, ha, ha. I think the Lions have a chance, but they also have that habit of blowing things.
Yeah, they're still under the curse of Bobby Lane. So the
Yeah.
Lions, they've got that work against them.
Yeah, unfortunately. But if I had $100 to bet, it would be that they would not be making the Super Bowl in the 2016-2017 season.
The Lions are only one of 4 teams that have never been in the Super Bowl. The only NFC team. So,
and they have not won a championship since 1957. But
yeah,
on the other hand, they do have a rich history, and they have won numerous championships in the early part of the NFL.
They won 3 championships in the 50s.
Right. So they're not something to just make a joke about.
They have a rich history, but it's been a long dry spell.
Boy, you said it. That could be a whole nother video. All right, folks. Well, thanks for watching, and everybody take care now.